Hey everybody, Own Goal bringing you the semifinals of the Tour in Season 9 Championships. And this I had expected to play against Berserk, one of the best Russian players and definitely like a top 5 all-time Total War player. But our teammate, ex-Navigator, beat him in the round of 8. And Nav cheesed Berserk in game 2 and 3, which Burrs was not happy about, but I was very happy about because Berserk is an extremely challenging opponent. I am something like 6 or 7 and 1 against him in Dom best ofs, but they're always very close. And he just consistently crushes me in land battles, and you can really never count him out because his tactical play is so good. He's just incredible with Cav, so smart. Nav is a very insightful player and has been improving quickly, but it is not experienced. It doesn't quite have the same like reps in high pressure late round situations, and I just have been absolutely dumpstering my teammate in practice. So I was extremely sick and tired. I think I was on my 3rd or 4th roll of ibuprofen and Tylenol at this point, and I was extremely relieved that I was going to play against Nav and not Burrs. So we end up with 2 pretty top tier factions here in game 1. The Wood Elves against Slaanesh. Wood Elves low-key recently have gotten an extremely formidable melee game. So you'll see a lot of these builds where you're like kind of a shooting faction. You have a little bit of shooting, just enough to force them in, but you actually just fully try to contest the front line with a lot of elite infantry. And then Nav is playing a relatively stock Slaanesh build. He's got like a bunch of Chaos Warriors with shields, and then this is probably the most OP unit that sees a lot of tournament play right now, Hellstriders. They're just fast. They have very good stats. They have this ability that charges up, and then when they get resummoned, it's already charged. Forsaken, also very strong. So just like, this is your typical Slaanesh melee infantry and cav build. And we're playing on Dried Floodplain, which is a pretty neutral map. It's a flat map, so that makes it easier to kite and then push back. But it's also got good tree cover, so there's a pretty safe approach for Slaanesh. We need to, whenever you're playing against a faction that has Pavane, which rampages a unit and does good damage, you need to check their caster immediately. And if they've got Pavane, make sure that you don't put great targets in position for it. And we're running, I think, we'll see in a second, I think a Footcaster Lord, which is really good against Slaanesh because they're good at killing. Yeah, so we have this Footcaster Lord. It's running Blessing of the Ancients, which gives it spell mastery and regen if it's in the trees, which is great on this map because you can just kind of waddle it up here. They don't even see it. And you get this Supercaster. And then Flock, which is kind of overpowered right now. Overcast, it gets extra range and just hits really hard, and it can shred a group of units, especially with Blessing of the Ancients. So we kind of just posted up here. And we're going to attempt to do what we've been doing in a lot of these other games, which is to get enough range units in that he's forced to come in and then get a fight somewhere near the points where we have reinforcement advantage. This unit is another one that makes Wood Elves a truly top tier faction right now. We've got Arrows of Kurnus, which is kind of busted. It does very, very good damage to infantry units. It's got good missile penetration and very long range. And then also the auto attacks on this unit are Seeking. So they're great at picking off units like Azazel. So we push up. He's trying to contest the early points with his Cav. There's a quick... Right now, Cav do phenomenal damage to infantry if they get an uncontested charge on Unbraced Inf. So he was going for a quick cycle charge and backing out. And you could see that we backed up our Dryads to play around that. We could also stop and brace them. And now we have missile cover, so he can't come in. And it's important on these kinds of builds to not overcommit, so we want to get into range where we can maybe hold 1 point, but the most important thing is not taking a fight too far forward and exposing yourself to the reinforcements and ranged assets. And now we've deemed that we're enough up on value. A big part of playing these kinds of semi-kite builds is at some point you need to turn around and fight them. And the question is, like, when are you up enough value that you should take the fight, or when are you pot committed? Sometimes you're so far out that you just have to fight. And there you see we got a good flock off, got some pretty good value. So we take the fight, we match up our anti-infantry tools on his. They're all doing quite well. And he's doing a good job here trying to swing around his cav. He probably could have pre-positioned a little more. Like when he came in, the cav was here. He's probably used to getting like free charges and stuff when he breaks things up, but we didn't present a good opening. It would have been probably a little better to have the cav already ready to flank, so we've been fighting for a while here on the front line. And the cav are only now coming in, and they're in this big blob, so they're going to eat flocks. And they get some charges, but our archers are tough, and we already had infantry pre-positioned to countercharge, and some of another really common Dom tactic that you just saw here is summoning reserve cav to counter-engage their cav when it dives. So you can kind of save it up and bait them, or you have a cav disadvantage, so you want to play your cav close. And now he's just really in pretty deep trouble. We're up 3k value. He is not that far ahead on points, so you should be thinking about this point when you've like won on value. How do I recap fast enough to make sure he can't steal this on points? So we push, we kill his lord, and he concedes. Let's look at the value. And this is a matchup that I think slightly favors Wood Elves. That's a pretty good example of like standard-ish play. Just like a safe, balanced build with a strong front line and just enough shooting to force them to come in. Azazel is probably not something you should take here against Wood Elves because the Waystalker does so so much damage. Oh boy, that was very hard-hitting Waystalker. So, our stuff did pretty well overall across the board. Everything traded up. His stuff all traded down. So that's game 1 of the semifinals, this World Champ level event. Thanks for watching. On to game 2.